Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21, wherever in the Caribbean or in the diaspora you're watching from. So today I want to talk about visa. It is all about visas today. So apparently the Trump administration is threatening Caribbean islands and other countries that employs Cuban nurses and Cuban doctors. This is an attempt to really cut off the Cubans because in recent times we saw the Trump administration cutting remittance to Cuba. So they're pretty much trying to cripple the Cuban economy as much as possible. Also, Mexico. So this time of the year, spring break is when millions of Americans go across the border to Mexico to enjoy their spring break. But this spring break, they have been met with something different. So Mexico decided to enforce a visa restriction on Americans. So Americans now entering Mexico, they will need to travel with their passport and also have to apply for visa on arrival. Visa on arrival, which would cost each American citizen $30 to get into Mexico. So these are the two stories that I want to talk about today. So let's talk about it. So, in a recent article written in the Jamaican Gleaner highlighting Marco Rubio, that is the Secretary of State for the United States of America. So, Marco Rubio pretty much gave a warning to countries that continue to employ Cuban nurses and doctors. So, for the past, I would say over 50, 60 years, there are countries all across the world that would employ Cuban nurses and doctors because Cuba have one of the best medical care in the world in terms of some of the best doctors, some of the best nurses in the world. So this is another step from the Trump administration to try and pretty much cripple the Cuban economy because obviously the embargo has not been working the way they want it to work over 60 years now. So this is another attempt after the Trump administration, when they took office, they decided to restrict remittance going into the country. So for Cuban Americans that live in America and normally would send remittance to Cuba, that was cut off. And now this is another attempt to cripple the economy. So Marco Rubio made an address on February 28th, warning countries that are participating in this program. So you can clearly see that Jamaica, the Jamaican officials have to be worried about this because this threat comes with a visa sanction. And I am not sure the last time the Trump administration was in office and they threatened the Jamaican government, it was about visa sanction on political officials and their family members. So I am not sure if this one is for, Jamaica in general, like restrict visas from Jamaicans, or it would just be like officials. And I don't know what is going to become of this. And Jamaica would not be the only island that this visa sanction could affect because let me see, like St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, has a close relationship with Cuba. And Cuban nurses and doctors are also in St. Vincent. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines could be affected too. I know Barbados could be affected. And there are other islands in the Caribbean that could be affected by this. I know there are Cuban doctors and nurses that go to Russia, but I'm sure Russia doesn't really care much about American visa right now. I don't think there would be any Russian official that would care if they would lose their ability to travel to America. But this could be something that the Caribbean, the leaders in the Caribbean, would be watching closely. And this is kind of confusing for me because Marco Rubio is has roots in Cuba. His mom and his dad came from Cuba to America. And so as the Secretary of State, it just seemed odd, like for Marco Rubio to be doing Donald Trump's dirty work, and this is doing something to your people, like your roots is in Cuba. So it just seemed like to try and to cut off every source of income going into Cuba, your people, Marco Rubio's people. It just seemed, I don't know. Here at Carib 21, I'm on a mission to showcase the vibrant culture and the breathtaking beauty of the Caribbean while showcasing our culture and what is trending. If you want to support me on this mission, please subscribe. And if you also want to support, you can hit the comment section and buy me a cup of coffee. In order to buy me a cup of coffee, you can follow these instructions. Just click more. You will see the link to buy me a cup of coffee. Click the link. You can purchase 1 or 2 cups of coffee, and you'll be helping me to fulfill this mission. Thank you. And I believe most Americans were really shocked that Marco Rubio took this position for the Secretary of State. I know it's a big position. I know it's well coveted, but Marco Rubio, with his history with Donald Trump, that they had a rough history. And it is kind of odd to see that Marco Rubio would take that Marco Rubio would put himself in a position to trust Donald Trump. Because as we saw with the last administration, most of the people that started out with Donald Trump ended up in prison or they had to leave the job. And with Marco Rubio, with the history that he had with Donald Trump, I'm not sure why he would put himself in a position to trust Donald Trump now as the Secretary of State when Donald Trump could easily throw him under the bus. And if you forgot about, the confrontation and the rough time, that Marco Rubio had with Donald Trump, here's a reminder.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite. But here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have as
president.
Here's the guy
that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say, Senator he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
Senator you lied about the Polish workers.
Yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump University.
Let Senator years ago.
He lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a...
Okay, so that was Marco Rubio and Donald Trump going at it at 2016 Republican debate. That was the first time when Donald Trump became President of the United States of America. And a lot of things were said during that debate, and it got crazy. So I am surprised that Marco Rubio was able to forgive Donald Trump for everything that was said and all that they've been through to accept the job as Secretary of State. And my personal belief is that I don't think that Marco Rubio is going to end this term on good terms with Trump. And I think him taking the job for Secretary of State could hurt his chance for trying to run for president of the United States again. And I know that is one of his ambitions to run for president again. I know he wants to be the president of the United States one day, but I believe that him taking up this Secretary of State under the Trump administration, even though it will be good on his resume, I think with this administration, he's going to do so much damage to his reputation that it's going to be hard for him to run for president again. But that is just my belief. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's wild that Marco Rubio, a Cuban mom from Cuba, dad from Cuba, but he's doing Donald Trump dirty work in terms of trying to suffocate, the life out of the Cuban people? Sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. And the next story we want to talk about is Mexico. So Mexico, I think, since Donald Trump, took office, Donald Trump is just going at war with everyone. And I think the Mexican president, President Sheinbaum, she's not joking. And one of the things that was done recently is apparently there was a visa on arrival program for Americans to go into Mexico that was on the book but was not implemented. So she decided that, look, we're going to implement this. So now spring break, when millions of Americans would travel to Mexico for spring break, now they have to deal with a visa on arrival system. So let's take a look at this report coming out of the United States of America.
The U.S.-Mexico border, where travelers are experiencing some changes during spring break travel. If you're heading south of the border for your vacation, you'll need more than just your passport. Mexico is now requiring U.S. citizens to fill out an immigration form before they can cross. And it's created incredibly long lines at the port of entry. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with one of those travelers. And Chase, they had no idea that this was happening.
Carib, this process is not new, but Mexican immigration authorities are now strictly enforcing it, leaving people waiting hours to get into Mexico and having to pay.
Like countless Arizonans, Jim McCauley and his wife, who live in Scottsdale, were heading into Mexico for a day trip.
We were going to visit the pharmacy, have a lunch, and then be on our way. It's something we've done many, many times before.
They usually go in on foot and say the process is easy.
Normally walking into Mexico is just like walking into a Walmart.
But on Thursday, when they got to the point of entry in Yuma, that wasn't the case.
The line was very, very long. Most of the people in line didn't know what was going on. The only progress that we made in that line were people that were leaving.
When they asked others how long they had been in line,
they were telling us it was a 3 to 4 hour wait.
Both finally decided to cancel their trip because of it.
It was frustrating because we didn't expect it, hadn't heard about it. For us, it's a 3.5 hour trip down there and back.
The reason for the long wait, U.S. citizens traveling into Mexico not only have to bring their passport, but now must obtain a travel visa, according to the Mexican consulate of Phoenix, a form most Americans don't know about because Mexico hasn't strictly enforced it until now.
Okay, so that was it. Just imagine trying to go away on vacation for spring break to get some sun and, just to go to the beach or whatever you're into, and you have to wait 3, 4, 5 hours in a line to get across the border. That is some crazy stuff. And I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know if it's going to backfire on the Mexican president, for putting this visa on arrival, because Americans don't think they have to have visa to go anywhere. So I know a lot of Americans are not going to be happy with this. And a lot of Americans are going to probably refuse to travel to Mexico if they have to have visa on arrival, and this could probably impact tourism in Mexico. But we'll see if the Mexican president is going to stick it out or she's going to roll back this visa on arrival idea. But so far, that is what she's doing. So guys, sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that it's a good idea for the Mexican president to apply this visa on arrival to Americans? And this seems like it's like a retaliation for what is going on since Donald Trump came in office. So sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. And guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.